Good morning. Welcome to Money in the Morning with Mitch Goldberg. We have a special episode today. Something really good happened. We have a guest today, Leslie Tayne of the Tayne Law Group. She is a debt resolution attorney with credit card debt, the highest it's ever been. Credit card interest rates, the highest it's ever been. Merchants taking out money, credit advances. A lot of people are feeling a lot of strain right now, and we need some advice. We need some help. And that's why I pleaded and begged Leslie to please join me today. Leslie, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. We're going to learn a lot from you. I'm going to ask you a lot of questions, okay?
Sure.
So you've had your law firm, I think, for over 20 years now?
I have, yes.
Okay, so you are an experienced attorney, but you have a niche. You're not just a typical bankruptcy attorney or something. Not that any bankruptcy attorney is typical, but you do a lot of things also to help people avoid bankruptcy. You do debt resolution.
That's correct. So we don't actually practice bankruptcy law within my firm. We are a firm that really concentrates on alternatives to bankruptcy, debt resolution, sometimes debt settlement. There's a lot of different terms for the type of work that we do, but mostly we focus on helping individuals, business owners who are struggling financially to resolve outstanding debt.
So it's kind of like a mumbo jumbo: debt resolution, debt settlement, not pay. A lot of this is starting to sound the same. What's the difference between debt resolution and a debt settlement?
So those are great questions because they are used interchangeably, but they do have different meanings. So the umbrella term of debt consolidation can include a lot of different strategies for debt resolution. Debt resolution is also an umbrella term that can include debt consolidation. Generally, debt consolidation occurs when you're taking debt and you're turning it into something else. It could be that you're taking lots of different credit cards and you're getting a personal loan. It could mean just putting all the bills together into one bucket so that it can be resolved a particular way. Debt settlement is part of the strategy or a strategy under either debt consolidation or debt resolution, where you're going in for the purpose of renegotiating the debt for a lower balance payout. Generally, under debt settlement, you have to be behind. In debt consolidation or debt resolution options, you don't necessarily have to be behind or delinquent with the debt, but under a debt settlement program, you would have to be behind or going behind.
I think a lot of people, when they hear debt settlement, debt resolution, look, this is why I have you on the show. They think of, they're going to get scammed. They're getting a phone call from somebody, from some stranger. We're a debt, whatever company, resolution, settlement. But you really have to know your rights. So when you work with these companies that call you, or you do a Google search, the same 3 or 4 companies are going to keep coming up, the ones that pay for the search ads. But what do you tell people about working with one of these debt companies?
So unfortunately, those stereotypes are realities for many consumers who have sought out debt settlement, debt resolution through companies that were less than honorable. So debt settlement and debt consolidation have been around for many years, almost 20 plus years. I mean, I've been in this industry for a really long time, and many of these companies do come and go, and many of them have very large marketing budgets where they can get to the top of the search engines and they solicit very heavily. They buy the information from the credit bureaus. A lot of the information is bought and sold regularly.
Wait, the credit bureaus actually sell the information?
Yeah, these credit bureaus can package and sell the information, including credit scoring and different types of models. So the information is bought from many different sources, and therefore then they're targeting you. So the challenge when somebody's targeting you is that you really don't know how legitimate they are. And even though they have reviews that say they're great or fabulous looking websites, the reality is all of that is easily created and you don't really know who to trust. And there are rules and laws, but in particular, New York has laws about debt settlement and debt consolidation that you have to be either licensed by the Department of Financial Services or an attorney exclusively practicing in this area. So there are rules and laws that apply in this state and in other states and federally. So consumers generally don't know that. So how do you know who to trust? And so I would say that when individuals, if you're going through a debt problem, you're likely stressed out. And when you're stressed, you're not making the best decisions. So your
optimal decision making is not, it goes out the window.
Yep. It's it's super limited, and I understand why, and it's overwhelming, and you get a fast-talking salesperson on the phone. So when you're solicited, those are salespeople. Even the 800 numbers that you see on television and even radio programs and the solicitations are just sales call centers that work for many different debt settlement or debt consolidation companies, and they just farm out the calls as they come in based on the agreement or arrangement that they have with these various different companies. So that could be scary for a consumer not knowing who you're actually talking to.
We are speaking with Leslie, Leslie, Tayne. That's T like Tom, Ayne, Law Group. They're in Melville on Pine Lawn Road, right?
Yes, we're right on Pine Lawn Road.
Okay, so right off the expressway, not far from the Northern Parkway. And their website is attorney-newyork.com, right?
Or taynelaw.com, TAYNELAW.com. It's easier for people to remember.
All right, taynelaw.com. Her website also has a ton of information, like what do you do if your credit is frozen, or what do you do if you're sued? What do you if you get a judgment? You have all these questions, and you could actually get so much of this information from their website, and it's right there. And what I like about this website is it's easy to read. It's put together in quick, easy to absorb hits. Just give me the answer. Don't give me the legal mumbo jumbo, and it's all right here. Leslie, do you take the place of a debt settlement company? Should they go to you, or is it's like one or the other, or they use both?
So they wouldn't use both. If we don't work in conjunction with debt settlement companies or debt consolidation, we work independently. We're a law firm focused on helping individuals and businesses resolve debt. So when we work with our clients, what we do is we create a strategy and a program that helps the individual figure out what really needs to be done. No two financial situations are ever the same. So when you're working with us, you're getting a much more personalized program and strategy. There are some legalities that do come up in the resolution of debt. So obviously that's something we can handle as attorneys. So everything is done in-house, and our clients have access to us and myself as an attorney. And that makes all the difference. In addition, our relationship with creditors over the years has really been fostered by my reputation as one of being trustworthy, reliable, and taking on individuals that have a desire to resolve their debt. So it's totally different than debt settlement. It's definitely a different experience than debt settlement, and it's not one big box setting.
Your firm has the legalities down. You know the legalities. There are a lot of responsibilities that the creditor has, these companies you owe money to. You know what they can and cannot do. And I feel like these companies will get away with as much as possible unless they're stopped by an attorney.
Well, as far as the collection agencies go, yes. As far as debt settlement goes, the challenge is that you don't really know who you're dealing with and how things are being resolved. It's not necessarily as transparent, and there's no accountability. So if something goes wrong with some debt settlement company or debt company that's out there, there's nowhere to go to recoup your money, to rebuild your finances. And the difference with an attorney, obviously, is there's a high level of accountability and responsibility. Obviously, I'm licensed to practice law, so my licensing requirements have very high ethical standards. And this is a tough business. It's a really tough business. So it's certainly not easy to resolve debt, and it's not easy to manage the issues that come up with resolving debt.
I would imagine that some of the issues that come up is that people wait too long to do something about a debt problem. It'll get better. It'll heal itself, and they wait until it's too late. So what is too late? What should people do?
It's very common for people to say to me, "Oh, I should have come to you 9 months, a year ago. I don't know what I was thinking." That's a very common comment when they come to me and they find out that there are real options available and solutions that make sense, not only within their budget, but take away the anxiety, the strain, all the other issues that come with it. There isn't necessarily a point of no return. I do deal with people who end up with judgments, liens, garnishments, frozen bank accounts, wage garnishment, all kinds of issues. Even then, sometimes I can pull a rabbit out of a hat and magically fix those issues. But the point of the decision-making process comes from when you start to realize that you're having difficulty meeting your financial obligations. That's really a good time to come. When you start to see that at some point you're not going to meet your financial obligations and you're starting to maybe rob Peter to pay Paul, you're going behind, you're getting late fees, you're out of funds available, like there's no credit limit anymore, you get turned down, and you have a change in financial circumstances that limit your ability to pay.
Right. So we are speaking with Leslie Tayne from the Tayne Law Group. Please stay with us. We've got to play a couple of brief messages. We will be right back, and I'm going to ask her some more questions. I'm trying to think of the questions that you, the listener, would have for her, and we're just having a great conversation. We'll be right back. And we are back. You're listening to Money in the Morning with Mitch Goldberg on LI News Radio 103.9 FM. To learn more about myself and to schedule a one-on-one with me, check out clientfirststrategy.com, or better yet, moneyinthemorning.info. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to have a one-on-one with you. We're speaking with my friend Leslie Tayne, Tayne Law Group, who I'm so happy to have with us. Leslie, we're talking about debt resolution, debt settlement. There's been a lot going on. I want to touch upon this. It's really important because maybe not all my viewers have this issue, but a lot of their kids could have this issue. Student debt. What's the latest? What's the SAVE program? And is there relief coming? Can students get out of debt if they have to? Can they get a delay? What's the deal? It's so complicated.
Student loan issues are extremely complicated, and that's where the challenge comes in, that half the time you don't even know what you have. There are two types of student loans. One is a federal loan, including Parent Plus loans, which your clients might have, any type of federal loan, Department of Education loan. Those are government-backed, but there are also government-based loans as well. But the other loans that are big are private student loans. Any of the programs that are out there from the government, the recent Supreme Court case, any of those are not related to private student loans whatsoever. That's a completely different animal. The current status of federal student loans is that they are now coming out of the 3-year abatement period from the CARES Act that was initiated during COVID. And so interest is starting and repayments are starting. You might have heard that there was a recent Supreme Court decision where they struck down the authority by the Biden administration to forgive a portion of federal student loans. So if you have federal student loans, you should not be expecting any type of it to be forgiven at all at this point based on the original program introduced by the Biden administration. With that said, that means that you will be receiving notices again from your student loan servicer, and you will have to start paying your federal student loans back shortly unless you have a financial issue. And then you should reach out to the servicer and discuss the various programs that are available for you, because some of the programs have changed.
I'd imagine a lot of people are going to be calling at the same time, so it really behooves your youngster to call as soon as possible.
So I would not wait to the last minute. We're kind of coming up on the last minute at this point. So I would absolutely reach out to a servicer and make sure the information is up to date, especially if you've moved around. You definitely want to make sure you're getting up to date information from servicers. And in addition, remember that the federal government is not going to call you. So the information will come by letter. And if anybody calls you and asks for money, Social Security, or federal ID numbers of any kind, then that's a red flag for a potential scam. And you should go independently to studentloan.gov and find the information and contact your servicer to find out about your loans and what programs are available.
Regarding private student loans versus government, do you advise one or the other? It's really just a matter of what the student needs.
So you have to start with your federal student loans. You fill out the FAFSA when your student is going into college. Your student can fill that out, and I encourage parents to encourage their students to either do it with them or to do it themselves so that they learn about what they're doing. You are entitled to up to a certain dollar amount from the federal government. It's a grant, but it's a grant that has to be paid back in year 1, 2, 3, and 4. I can tell you that if the grades are poor, they will not get federal student loans. Does not give people money for those who carry D averages and below. So that there is a requirement there. It doesn't matter how much money you make. You could be a multimillionaire and you would still get, you'll still be entitled to some federal student loan money. But with that said, then there's a limitation to federal student loan money, and you would have to go to private student loans or Parent Plus loans. And private student loans, the student cannot get on their own. They have to be co-signed. So usually usually you as a parent. I've seen uncles, grandparents, siblings, cousins, all co-sign for these loans. And I can tell you that if your student defaults on them at some point, they will absolutely come after you, and it will impact your credit. And you absolutely 100% can be sued by private student loans.
I don't think a lot of people realize how on the hook they are. It's this is something that's a matter of personal finance, and that's one of the things that I love about what Leslie does. She puts the personal into personal finance. Let's talk about budgeting. When you work with somebody for debt resolution, you help them come up with a budget. You help them do a lot of things. But how do you do it? Like, do you actually sit there with pen and paper and go through their money and their income and look at every line? And like, how granular do you get?
So it depends on the complexity of the matter. So if we're talking about student loans, we have a discussion about who's paying it, where they're at, what the budget looks like in short and long term, because again, in terms of student loan repayments, it's a long-term payout. So it's not just what's your budget for this week. It has to be what's happening today, tomorrow, and even 5 years from now. When I'm dealing with very complex business matters, merchant cash advances, then we go very granular. We take a very deep dive into the operations of the business, cash flow, and we really spend a lot of time with the business owner understanding the way income and sources of funds come in and out of the business. Student loan credit cards fall in between the student loans and the merchant cash advance business loans, lines of credit. With the credit cards, what we do is we do talk about budget, because there has to be a realistic budget to resolve the debt. So if there's 80 grand in credit card debt and you said to me your budget was $200 a month, I would say it's not a good fit and it's not something I can do for you. So we have to talk about realistic budgets and where the funds are coming from, and the ability to stick to a process that's going to take 2 to 4 years.
2 to 4 years. Is that typically how long it takes?
Yes, that's the typical time frame for credit cards. Student loan is anywhere from 4 to 8 years, and merchant cash advances and business loans are on the very short term. That's anything up to about 2 years.
And once somebody makes their first payment, then from now on, the creditors deal with you directly?
From that point on, you're my client. So as soon as you make a payment, you retain me and my firm, and we get working immediately. We don't wait for money to build up. We take it very seriously. We monitor the e-courts, the electronic court filing systems, to make sure our clients aren't sued. And then we get started immediately in understanding what's going on, so that we can come up with really an effective strategy. And at times we have to pivot that strategy, which we can, but early on, that's exactly what happens.
If you want to know more about Leslie, you could also check her out on Instagram. She puts out a ton of really good, quick snippet, snackable content, a lot of videos. You can check her out. Leslie Tayne. That's again, Leslie H. Tayne, LESLIE HTAYNE on Instagram, Leslie Tayne on LinkedIn, and certainly check out Leslie Tayne Law Firm, Leslie Tayne Law.
The Tayne Law Group. It's TayneLaw.com. And you certainly can follow me also on TikTok. We're doing a lot of TikTok, and a lot of clients do find us on that. But of course, we're on everything from Pinterest, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, everything, all social media. We're very active, and we do put a lot of really good information out. Also, we put a tremendous amount of content out. So if you're looking for, how to resolve debt, you just type in something like that, and you'll likely find some blog or an article or something I was interviewed in that could answer your questions.
She has so many FAQs on her website. There's literally an answer for every possible question that you could have. So check out Tayne Law, and maybe Leslie's firm is the firm for you. But she certainly wants you to make that decision on your own. I could just tell by knowing her that if you decide to use her services, you're getting a great team on your side. So, it's up to you, of course. What I want to ask you is, with record high amounts of debt, there's a lot of older people. We only have about a minute left, but there's a lot of older people who are in debt and credit card debt. Is it different for people who are, let's say, 60 and above?
Yes, unfortunately, I do see clients come to me in their 80s and even 90s. So we do strategize very differently depending on your age bracket and what's happening in your family status. So I do see lots of clients these days challenge challenged, those who are on fixed income, because expenses have gone up, but income, when you're on a fixed income, doesn't go up commensurate with what expenses really are and the day-to-day living. So I am seeing more and more seniors, 70 and above, with tremendous amounts of credit card debt, things that they didn't have to ever deal with in the past. So we have a different strategy with that. And depending on what their financial circumstances are, sometimes we actually get the creditor to close those files out. So
thank you so much, Leslie. Leslie Tayne, the Tayne Law Group. Did I get it right this time?
You did.
The Tayne Law Group. I just know you because I know you, so I don't have to just find you on the internet all the time. You've been terrific. Folks, reach out to Leslie Tayne if this is something that you need help with. We learned a lot today, and we will have her on again. Everyone have a great day. Take care.
Securities and investment advisory services are offered through Next Financial Group Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Client First Strategy is not an affiliate of Next Financial Group Incorporated. All the views expressed are those of Mitchell Goldberg and Client First Strategy and not those of Next Financial Group Incorporated. Views are general in nature and not intended to be investment advice. Any discussion of individual securities should not be construed as a recommendation or solicitation by our presenters. Next Financial Group Incorporated does not provide tax advice.